One of the biggest challenges of working with Lightroom's local adjustments in the toolbar is the spot removal tool. It's okay when you're trying to remove sensor dust off a picture, but things get a lot more challenging when you need to remove something bigger, like an entire person who's appearing in a scene. And the technique I'm going to show you is effective in certain circumstances. And in this particular case, with an out of focus background and a lot of linear lines, this can be pretty useful. So right up here on the top over your basic panel, there is the spot removal tool. It's the little circle with the arrow on it. And what we want to do is set this to clone. We don't want it in the heal. Healing is going to create a kind of a blend, and you don't want to blend, you want an exact copy in this particular case. We're going to leave the size of our brush the same size for this exercise, but we're going to adjust the feather here from 0 to 100%. Now when your cursor's over the slider, you'll notice you get a representation of the size of your brush and how much feathering you'll see. And when you put your slider back and forth, you can see how that adjusts it. Also, if you put your cursor over the actual number, you'll get a finger with 2 arrows. That's just another way you can adjust your settings. But in this case, we want it at 100% feather. And the opacity in this case, we want it to be completely opaque. We want to cover our pedestrian in the background, so we're going to leave that at 100%. Now, because of the way Lightroom is designed, the process is you choose what you want to lose. In other words, this guy in the background, you paint over him, and Lightroom supposedly chooses something appropriate, like replacing our pedestrian here with a piece of street. Not exactly what I had in mind for this fix, and I think it's certainly not something you would want to use either. And to make matters worse, when you look at it, it just looks like an alien from a bad movie, and it's your choice. I would leave the pedestrian in the scene rather than to use that retouching I just created. Now my approach is backwards from the way Lightroom wants me to work, because Lightroom wants me to choose what I want to hide and then covers it. I'm going to just zoom back here to 1 to 2 so I can see a little bit more of my scene. Now everything's out of focus, and that's going to be an advantage for me. I've got a lot of vertical lines here from the doorways. I have the curb on the sidewalk, which I'm hoping I'll be able to match up. And what I want to do is I'm going to select a section that's big enough, that I know is big enough, to cover my pedestrian. And instead of choosing something I'm going to cover, I'm choosing what I want to cover my guy. So just to start with, I want to make sure that my brush is well above the height of my guy before I start painting. I want the size or height of my box that I'm creating now to be taller, longer than what I'm about to cover, because I don't want any parts of him peeking through when I move this destination over. And that's what's going to happen. I'm going to finish painting this. It's wide enough to cover him. I'm just going to finish filling this in. And this is going to be my destination. And as soon as I release my mouse, Lightroom's going to say, hey, I think a piece of street would look good here. And the reason why I know this is a destination is because of that little arrow pointing to my selection. That's telling me it's a destination. So I'm going to move that over my guy, and that's going to hide him with a piece of street for the moment until I move my source, which is somewhere in the front of my picture in the foreground. I'm going to zoom out. There it is. That's my source, and I'm just going to drag that up. And as a quick aside, I'm just going to show you over here my tool overlay is in auto, and when I move my cursor off of my canvas over to one of my side panels, the selections disappear. It's a great way for previewing my work. So that's tool overlay auto. So my source is on the left and my destination is on the right as the arrow indicates. And I'm going to very slowly adjust this destination left and right, up and down. And I'm just trying to find a place that looks good. There's my guy. There he's underneath all of this. And I'm just looking for a place where this fits well and the curb lines up. And when I've got it just the way I want it, I'm going to release my mouse and something like that. I see a little foot down there. I'm not too happy about that. Yep, you see there's a little spot down there. And the curb really doesn't line up yet, so I'm going to move this up just a touch. So I'm just going to take another look at that. I'm going to put my cursor off over the side panels again so I can see what this looks like. And so I want to fix that. I know it's a small thing, but I'd really like to not see that there. So I'm going to move my brush up just as far as I can until it turns into a hand, and now I'm going to back it off until I see my brush and click once. And Lightroom has done a pretty good job actually of figuring out what I wanted to fix here, which is nice. I'm just going to turn off the switch here for my spot removal tool. There's my guy, and turn it back on again, and it's looking pretty good. So I'm going to click done and zoom back out again to look at the whole image to see that I'm pretty pleased here with the result, and it's certainly a lot better than my mystery alien from my first attempt. I'm going to look at this at 1:1. It's really important to inspect your work close up, because when you make prints, that's when you're going to really see this stuff if you didn't do a good job. And I think overall I've accomplished what I set out to do. It's a good blend. It doesn't look too apparent. And other than me, no one else knows. And I'm glad to be rid of that guy. But how was he to know he was stepping into the middle of a great shot? This is Lightroom Guy. Thanks for watching.